The Pentagon, the beating heart of America's military machine. Inside these 5 massive walls, thousands of the brightest minds and strongest soldiers coordinate the defense of a nation. Satellites track the skies. War rooms hum with the chatter of strategy. Secure tunnels connect command centers deep underground. It is a place built for war, designed to withstand threats from missiles, spies, and cyber attacks. But what if the greatest threat did not come from above or from an enemy across the sea? What if the nightmare began inside these walls, spreading not through data or bombs, but through flesh, blood, and teeth? What if zombies took over the Pentagon? Picture it. Morning light filters through the Pentagon's endless corridors. Security guards scan IDs, analysts sip coffee at their desks, generals prepare for classified briefings. Everything appears routine, ordinary, controlled, until a scream cuts through the order. At first, it's brushed off as an accident. Maybe someone fainted. Maybe someone panicked. But then, another sound follows, low, guttural, unnatural. And suddenly, the unimaginable is real. A figure emerges from the hallway, staggering, face pale, eyes clouded with hunger. A soldier rushes to help, only to be pulled into a frenzy of claws and teeth. In moments, the infection spreads like fire through paper. The Pentagon, fortress of order, descends into chaos. Imagine the panic. Thousands of staffers, officers, and contractors trapped in a labyrinth of identical hallways. No clear exits. No one is sure what's real or rumor. Radios jammed with overlapping reports. Security rushing to lock down sections. Gunfire echoing through corridors meant for quiet footsteps. What would you do in that moment if you were one of them? Run, hide, or fight against colleagues who, just minutes ago, were human? The Pentagon was built to be unbreakable, but its very design now becomes a cage. 5 concentric rings of offices, hallways looping endlessly, doors locking automatically. To a soldier in training, this layout means security. To someone fleeing the undead, it's a maze where every term could be the last. Imagine running past portraits of generals, only to find a corridor blocked by bodies clawing toward you. Imagine trying to reach the outer walls, only to realize you've circled back to the same place. The Pentagon's geometry, meant for defense, has turned into a perfect trap. But here's the darker question. How quickly would the United States military respond to its own nerve center collapsing? Within minutes, the alarms would sound across the building. Marines stationed inside would arm themselves, setting up barricades at choke points. Secure rooms built to withstand nuclear blasts would become last refuges for survivors. Yet the chain of command would fracture. Who gives orders when generals are being torn apart in the war rooms? Who decides what matters more, containing the infection or preserving the lives of those still unbitten? Now imagine the message reaching the outside world. The Pentagon overrun, the government's strongest fortress infected. The White House would scramble, jets would circle above, and special forces would be deployed. But what if even they couldn't reach the survivors inside? What if every attempt to retake the building only fed the swarm? A single outbreak in this building could paralyze not just Washington, but the entire United States. Nuclear launch codes, global communication lines, top secret files. All of it now locked inside with the undead. And here's where it grows even more terrifying. The Pentagon is not just offices and meeting rooms. Beneath it lies a network of tunnels and secure bunkers. If the infection spread downward, the underground labyrinth could become a breeding ground, hidden from satellites and surveillance. Zombies could linger there for weeks, even months, waiting for the moment when someone finally opens a sealed door. Imagine the horror of soldiers entering to clear a section, only to unleash an army that had been festering in the dark. Yet we can't ignore the human element. Inside, there would be acts of desperation and bravery. Picture a group of young officers barricading themselves in a communications room, trying to send a final message to the outside. Picture a nurse in the Pentagon's medical wing, torn between saving the wounded and knowing that every patient could turn. Picture the choice of a Marine, ordered to hold a hallway against an endless tide, buying just a few more minutes for others to escape. What would you do if you knew your sacrifice might delay the end but not stop it? The symbolism would be devastating. The Pentagon is more than a building, it's a statement of power, stability, control. If it fell, the world would watch in shock. Allies would question America's strength. Enemies would see opportunity. And the American people? They would face a new reality where even their strongest fortress could not protect them from the horror. Could society hold together knowing its leaders had lost control in the most secure building on Earth? But then comes the chilling possibility: containment. Would the government risk rescuing the survivors inside, or would it seal the building completely, trapping the infected forever? Imagine standing by a window as military helicopters circle, waiting for rescue, only to realize the missiles are aimed not at the zombies, but at you. Would they burn the Pentagon to the ground to stop the infection from spreading? Would history record the moment as a tragedy or as a necessary sacrifice? And yet, there's another layer. The Pentagon houses some of the world's most advanced labs, intelligence hubs, and secure tech. What if, within those walls, the military had already been studying bioweapons, viruses, or genetic experiments? What if the outbreak didn't begin by accident? What if it was born from the very research meant to protect against it? In that case, the Pentagon wouldn't just be a victim, it would be the origin. The first domino in a collapse that could reach every city on Earth. Now step back and picture the aftermath. Washington, D.C. locked down. Soldiers patrolling streets filled with fear. The Capitol dome visible across the Potomac, watching as smoke rises from the Pentagon. Survivors, if any, evacuated under quarantine, never allowed to see their families again. And in the ruins of the building, shadows still moving, echoes of footsteps, the dead walking in the heart of American power. What lesson would the world take from this? That no fortress is truly unbreakable. That power means nothing when faced with a hunger that does not stop. That the greatest danger is not always an enemy with missiles, but something far simpler, an infection spreading one bite at a time. So I ask you, what would humanity do if its strongest walls could not protect its leaders? Would the fall of the Pentagon signal the fall of civilization itself? Or would it become the warning that forced humanity to unite, adapt, and fight back? One thing is certain. If zombies ever took over the Pentagon, it would not just be the fall of a building. It would be the fall of the illusion that we are in control. And that is the most terrifying thought of all.